Hey, this is Ishar, and this will be a Myers-Briggs talk. And specifically, what I'll be going over is the number one job that utilizes the cognitive function, extroverted intuition. Now, if you're new to the Myers-Briggs system, you may be wondering, okay, what are cognitive functions and what's extroverted intuition? So just as a recap, cognitive functions are just lenses or perspectives through which each type interacts with the world. So there's different functions out there, and there's 8 different cognitive functions. Extroverted intuition in particular is a function where you look outside yourself for different possibilities and ideas. So this is a very optimistic function that seeks out possibilities and ideas. So it lives in ideas and the potentials of things. And every type, every personality will either rely more on their extroverted intuition function or a bit less. So there are certain types, such as the ISTJ personality type, which has extroverted intuition as their bottom function. So what this means is that for them, extroverted intuition is kind of hard for them to grasp. And likewise, on the other hand, there are certain types that really utilize or prefer their extroverted intuition function. So branching out for new ideas and think of what ifs come very naturally for these types. So ENFP personalities and ENTP personalities have extroverted intuition as their most dominant function. So this means it's very natural for them and they live from their extroverted intuition function pretty much throughout the day. And INFPs and INTPs come in a close second. So the extroverted intuition function is their second function. I know a lot of my viewers are also INFPs, just like me, so we tend to access our extroverted intuition function pretty often. So now that we understand there's like a certain order of the cognitive functions and certain personality types prefer to use their dominant function more often and their secondary function, well, we can start to see that there are certain jobs that utilize the extroverted intuition function a bit more, and there are certain personality types that would prefer using their extroverted intuition function a bit more as well, so on the job every day. So a job that would utilize your extroverted intuition will have you really problem solve and brainstorm for new ideas. You'll be branching out and exploring things. So rather than doing things, by the book and doing something like accounting, which is the exact opposite of extroverted intuition, a field where you can be your own boss and you're exploring things can be an idea of an extroverted intuition job. This is where you can consider different possibilities and you can then decide and go forward. And extroverted intuition in jobs it's slightly different, and this is a bit of a subtlety, but you're looking at the ideas or potentials of a job rather than managing other people, which is more of an extroverted feeling function, or maybe the execution of the ideas. So extroverted intuition is about the possibilities of an idea, and obviously you do have to execute, but someone who is focusing more on their extroverted thinking function is all about, okay, how do we do this? So that's more focused on logistics. So the top extroverted intuition job is being your own boss or being an entrepreneur. And according to Truity, I think I pronounced that right, which is a personality type website, they had found that ENTPs, again, if you recall, have extroverted intuition as their dominant function. So ENTPs are the most likely of all types to be self-employed. And then if we look at ENFPs, who also again have extroverted intuition as their top function, tend to earn more money when they're self-employed, so rather than working for someone. And that's kind of cool to think about, right? And it's often said that the top job for ENFPs are actually being an entrepreneur. So it kind of goes hand in hand. And just from my personal observation alone, I find that ENFPs really thrive being as an entrepreneur because they can execute their ideas that they have and they can really see it come to fruition. So all their ideas that they have, they're super excited, they're super engaged, and when their dreams actually come true, they're like super excited about it. So it's very nice to see. Now, one famous ENFP that you may know is Alpha M. He's a popular YouTuber that focuses on men's lifestyle and fashion and grooming and all that. And he has about 6.5 million subscribers at the moment. And I personally haven't seen a more textbook classic ENFP as him. So if you watch any of his videos, you can clearly see his extroverted intuition at function. Like he's constantly jumping around. He has like high energy. He's connecting different ideas.
Your body is going to reward you. Not only is your skin going to be super sexy, you're going to look better, you're going to feel better, and your energy level is going to go through the roof.
He's even mentioned in a behind-the-scenes video that he has a script in front of him because he's learned to rely on the scripts, otherwise he'll go on to different tangents. And that's pretty indicative of many extroverted intuition dominant people because their brain kind of just works in circles. So they'll go from one idea to the next and branch from different ideas and tie them all together. But in a conversation style, they can tend to ramble on. In fact, I do that all the time too, which is why I have my notes right here on the side, so I look at that so I don't go off into a tangent. But you can clearly see that he really thrives as an entrepreneur because a little bit about his story is that he first started to open a gym because he's really into fitness. And when that didn't work out, he was like, okay, let me open up another business. So then he started a men's consulting firm. So he did that, but then he was never satisfied, as most extroverted intuition dominant people are. They want to do more and see more and explore more. So in addition to having his skincare, his consulting business, he then started a skincare company, and then he started a grooming product company. Then he created a hair product. Then he created his own brand of sunglasses, and then he created another business where entrepreneurs can connect. So basically, at the moment, according to his website, he's currently managing 7 different businesses, and each of these businesses have different ideas and different visions. So you can clearly see that he's an example of a very successful ENFP that's really thrived as an entrepreneur. So one of the great things about being an entrepreneur, or at least utilizing your extroverted intuition function in a job, is that you can basically have a lot of freedom and flexibility to choose the life that you want. So for me, for example, although this isn't my full-time job or anything like that, what I like about being a content creator and creating these videos is that I have full range of ideas that I can do. So I have flexibility on the types of videos I make, when I want to post it, and I have freedom on the types of topics I'd like to engage in. So it's not very structured, and this gives me freedom because I can choose to do whatever I want. Now, again, you may be thinking, okay, doesn't everyone want to do this? Actually, no. So a lot of people who are introverted sensing dominants, like ISTJs, ISFJs, like I've mentioned earlier, and introverted sensing is the opposite function of extroverted intuition, would hate that kind of freedom. They actually want something very structured. But if you tend to be like me as an INFP and like the open-ended possibilities, you may like having some kind of art or side project where you are working on your own thing and coming up with your own ideas, and you can set your own schedule and work on that. So now that I've gone over the top job of extroverted intuition dominant people, and that is being an entrepreneur or being your own boss, what if you don't want to do that? So maybe you'd be thinking, okay, this is a lot of work to create my own business or kind of work, or, support myself. I actually want to have a steady job or maybe work a 9 to 5 or anything like that. In that case, that's totally fine, but just make sure that you look for the same factors that you would get as an entrepreneur or working by yourself in that job. So even if you do work a 9 to 5 job, can you make sure that this 9 to 5 job will give you freedom, make sure to give you flexibility, and maybe it also allows you to pursue your creative pursuits as well. So it allows you to be creative rather than being, very by the book and very structured. Because you'll find that if you are seeking a job that, is utilizing your extroverted intuition function, you will need to make sure that it is allows you that flexibility, that freedom, and allows you to be creative and think outside the box. And not all 9 to 5 jobs are the same. So, I work in recruiting at the moment, and I've had a previous job where it was very by the book, and you had to follow certain metrics every day, and you had a daily call, and it was, it was kind of like that. And whenever I had this amazing idea, this out of box idea that could, help the company and all that, I presented that to my boss, and they were just like, stop getting distracted, go back to work. And you can clearly see that I wasn't very unhappy in that job. However, in my current recruiting job, it's still the same job. I'm still doing the same responsibilities. However, they give me more freedom. They say, okay, as long as you get your metrics done and you get things done, we're really not going to check up on you. So I am now in full control of how I go about my job. And I can come up with new creative ways to save time and efficient ways to do things. And I'm always thinking out of the box. And this actually allows me to succeed in my current role because I'm allowed to be free. So whatever job you're thinking of pursuing, just know that if it allows you to be a bit more free and allows you to kind of create your own schedule, or at least has a potential for that, then it is something worth pursuing. So anyways, I hope this talk helps.